Welcome back to Maximum Attack. I'm going to start this video with another apology. I watched the last vlog back, which I very much enjoyed making, and I really hope you enjoyed watching it, but I have to apologise because once again, the sound was not very good. This thing, I think I just had it in the wrong place. So I was talking into it the wrong way. It's quite fussy, it has a little mark where you're talking to it, and I did it wrong. So I promise I'm going to fix it. Hopefully by talking a little bit louder this time and having the microphone in the right way will make it better. But I have also bought a new laptop and I am going to upgrade my editing software so I can balance the sound a little bit better, because the software I have been using is not very good from an audio perspective. So I promise you it will get better. This will become more professional, I promise. So enough of that, but I wanted to mention it because I don't want you to watch the videos and think that I'm a total idiot and that I don't care, because I do care and I want these to be as good as possible. So yes, so an apology for that, but let's start with an announcement. Yes, let's start with an announcement. So if you follow me on Instagram and Twitter /X, you may have seen this already, but I am very happy to say that I am now a contributor for dirtfish.com. If you are a rally fan, I suspect you are aware of Dirtfish. It is the biggest rally website in the world, and I am very pleased that they have asked me to be involved and to do some content for them. So do keep an eye on that. I think for me, having been in the kind of rally media or motorsport media game for 10 years now, I started off doing motorsport engineering, more around circuit racing, and then got to start writing about rallying, which is what I really wanted to do. So to now be asked to contribute to that, to such a big platform is a real moment for me. So I just wanted to say that. I'm not bragging, but I'm bragging. No, I'm not bragging. But yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning. So do have a look. I will give them a little plug. Do look at dirtfish.com and you should see some content from me there in the coming weeks. And yeah, I'm just really pleased. It's a big moment. So thanks. I just noticed that the camera's a bit wobbly. Look, that's a bit better, isn't it? It's because I've got this stupid microphone that doesn't work properly plugged into it. Anyway, so yes, that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. There's a couple of topics for this video. It's kind of 4 topics, but I'm going to mould them into 2, if that makes sense. So the first one is Rally Chile, which starts tomorrow on Friday, because I'm recording this Thursday, but it will go out on Thursday, as I promised you. Interesting event this time, isn't it? So last time we were in Turkey 4 years ago, which seems forever ago, and I feel like I barely remember anything about it. Tanak won, and he was driving for Toyota, and he became world champion. As we go back to Chile, we're going back to a completely different event. All of the stages are different. There is only one stage that is exactly the same. There is another stage which is kind of the same, but it's been extended. But otherwise, everything is new. So what you remember from 2019, if you remember anything, which I don't that much, I've forgotten. It was 4 years was a long time ago. It doesn't matter because it's all new anyway. It's a totally new event, new cars, lots of drivers have moved around. Kalle Rovanperä was driving a Rally 2 car back then, so everything's different. It should, though, have some jeopardy because it's a new event, and I'm quite excited by that. In championship terms, this is one that Elfyn Evans probably needs to get a good result on because he's running out of time. Even if he gets a maximum score and Kalle scores nothing, he will still be 3 points behind. So he definitely needs to put the hammer down this time. I know he's more of a caution guy, but he can't take risks because he can't afford to not score. But I think he really needs to finish ahead of Rovanperä. Rovanperä can still win as well. He has shown that he can win from the front, especially if other people have some problems. He puts himself in the position so that he's there if anyone else has a problem. And as we've seen last time out, people do have problems. So it isn't an event that he's guaranteed to lose because of road position. So for me, he will still be on the podium. Evans, if he's on the podium, Evans definitely really needs to be at the top of the podium, doesn't he? So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it's between those two and Neuville and Tanak. Unfortunately for Tanak, I think a lot of his result does rely on the car, doesn't it? M Sport have had some problems, and and I mean, we hope they'll overcome them, and Tanak will be able to show what he is capable of. But I think that is a question mark, isn't it? We will see. You know, Neuville had an awful crash in Chile last time, but with quite different roads. I think hopefully that won't faze him, and I think he's a threat if he can keep it on the road and keep his nose clean. But I'm going to say, because I don't want to spend too long on Chile, because there's millions of places that you can watch stuff about Chile. I think for me, I'm going to go Evans. I'm going to back Evans for the win because I did it earlier this week, and I'm going to say Callie second, Neuville third, Tanak fourth, and there was a car horn which you might have heard, which really helped. So yeah, I think that's it. WRC 2, I just want to mention quickly. Russell, I think, is the top seed in WRC 2. Solberg's going to be there, but I think the championship's probably gone for him, isn't it? But Mikkelsen is not there, crucially, and the other guys, Greensmith, etc., will be looking to make up as much ground as possible. So that's well worth watching. That WRC2 thing leads me neatly into my next topic, which is that Chris Ingram is competing in France this weekend, which I think is very interesting. That's a chance for him to show his capabilities, because he's not the only one doing Rally National Charlemagne in northwest France, because the 9-time world champion Sebastian Loeb is doing it in a Polo R5, the same car as Chris Ingram, and Stéphane Lefebvre is also going to be there. So I think that is definitely worth keeping tabs on, because obviously Ingram needs to go well against those guys if he wants to show that he's the real deal and to try and turn some heads ready for next season. However, that isn't a real reason that I wanted to talk about Charlemagne in this video, because this second topic, which is 3 topics all rolled into one, is the fact that isn't it great that those 3 drivers, you know, a 9-time world champion, an ERC champion, a Belgian champion, former WRC driver, are all competing on one French national rally. I think that's really great to see. And it isn't the only rally in the coming weeks and months where that's happening. So I think it's next weekend, Ott Tanak will be competing in Estonia in a Fiesta Rally 2 run by his own team. He will have former junior World Rally driver Robert Verves as his co-driver, which is a bit of a departure for both of them. So I think that's, you know, that's another example of World Championship drivers competing on a national rally. But perhaps the biggest story in that respect is what's come out in the last week or so. So we've had 3 driver announcements for the Roger Albert Clark Historic Rally in the UK. If you're not too familiar with that event, it's a multi-day historic rally that runs every 2 years and is designed to hark back to the RAC rally of old. So it isn't like Rally GB that you were perhaps used to, which was your standard kind of format based in Wales. This is an event very much in the mould of the golden days of rallying, if you want to call it that, where there's stages in Wales, there's stages in Kielder Forest in the north of England, there's stages in Scotland, and it's very much aimed at the cars driven by its namesake, Roger Clark, who was obviously a massive household name in the UK in the 70s. So as you can imagine, there are many Mark II Escorts, along with lots of other things. So it's an event designed to kind of pay tribute to a certain era, and I really like that. You know, I bash historic rallying a lot, but this event I think is fantastic. It's a great concept. It's one of those bucket list events, isn't it? They only run it every 2 years because it's such a big, a mammoth undertaking, I should say, to run it. So I think, you know, I can see why people love it. It's such a challenge, and it's totally unique in British rallying. And what makes it even more special this year is the international interest. So like with Charlemagne, and I cannot remember the name of the event in Estonia, I'm really sorry. What an amateur. But like those rallies, it is attracting World Championship interest. So last week we had Oliver Solberg announcing that he would be doing the event in his father Petter's Mark II Escort that was actually built by Petter's former co-driver Phil Mills at Viking Motorsport. And just to add even more interest, this week we've had another 2 names announced that they'll be doing the event. The first of which is Chris Meek, former Toyota and Citroen and Mini WRC driver. So I think that is really, really good, you know, to see a driver of Chris's calibre in a historic Escort. I think that one's built by Wales Motorsport Fabrication, I want to say. I think that's brilliant, isn't it? To see Oliver and Chris head to head in those cars on that event is going to be brilliant. They are some of the fastest and most spectacular drivers in the world, but this is not an event where you can necessarily be fast and spectacular all the time. So I think that's it's going to be interesting to see how they get on with that endurance element. The other announcement came from someone who's not a World Championship driver, but I think is probably just as important, and that's Chris Harris, him off the telly. I was going to say he's a Top Gear presenter, but I don't actually know if he is a Top Gear presenter anymore, because I don't know if Top Gear really exists. But he's off the telly, and he's obviously well known in motoring circles and is something of a rally fan. So I think to see him back on the event, he did it last time in an Escort. This time he is driving the Porsche 911 that Ryan Champion used to win the event a few years ago. So I think that is brilliant. I think Bryn Pearce is going to be co-driving for him again, and that's a great pairing. I've got a lot of time for Bryn, so it's great to see him back out on that event. Yeah, I just think, I suspect that Chris won't do lots of content about it, because I feel like he does this event just for his own enjoyment. But any content that he does about rallying is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. You know, I don't know if he would want to be called an influencer. I think he has a slightly tricky relationship with influencers, but you know, he does have a lot of influence in the automotive sphere. So I think to see Chris on that event is brilliant. He's going to be in a Tuthill built Porsche, and they're the best in the business when it comes to old 911. So yeah, I think that'll be really interesting. I don't think he's going to be challenging near the front particularly, but yeah, it's just it's a great name to see on the event. You can't argue with his impact. So that's really good. And let's not forget, you know, outside those international and kind of atypical names, I suppose you could say, you've also got the typically fast historic drivers. So you've got Marty McCormack, Jason Pritchard, those guys who are super, super fast in Mark IIs. I think seeing them, you know, those historic experts who are experienced on that event up against, you know, your Chris Meek, your Oliver Solberg, I think is going to be fascinating to see if the World Championship guys can be fast and deal with the endurance element, especially 2 guys that have got a bit of a record of having some oopsies. I think it will be absolutely brilliant. So I cannot wait to see that. And we have a little bit of time to wait, but hopefully we'll see some more names on the entry. I don't know if the full entry has been announced yet, but if it would be great to see some more. But yeah, it's a great event. I can't wait for that. As I said, I'm not a big historic guy, but I make an exception for the Roger Albert Clark because I think it is just such a good event. So that is going to be really interesting. And I just love, what I love about all of this is just that international flavour, seeing those really high level drivers competing on national events, be it Roger Albert Clark or in Estonia or in France. I just think that's so brilliant, and it gives something to the fans, doesn't it? To see guys of that level. No disrespect to the guys that compete nationally. There are some very, very good drivers competing on all of those events. But to see World Championship level drivers is a great experience, isn't it? And they will be pushing those cars really hard. So that is brilliant, and a really, really nice place to end, because it's been a very positive video and there's no moaning about anything. So I think we will definitely stop it there before I moan about something. So I tried to keep this one a bit shorter. Last time I said I would keep it shorter than the previous one, and it still ended up being 20 minutes. So this time I'm hopefully like 15 minutes. So we're getting better. Yeah, we're getting better. They won't all be short or all be long. I'm still working out. We're ironing out the kinks here. We're ironing out the kinks, just like with this crappy microphone. So I'll wrap it up there. Thanks once again for watching. Next week's video, I suspect we'll be talking about Chile. We might be talking about Charlemagne, and I don't know what else. We'll see what happens. It depends how dramatic Chile is. If Chile's really boring or Charlemagne's really boring, I'll have to come up with something else, won't I? But yeah, thanks for watching. Please, as always, like, comment, subscribe. As I say, in every single video I do, I want to do more with YouTube. I want to grow this part of it. I'm really grateful for the following that I've got on Instagram particularly, and that is growing, and it's really, really nice to see, and it's nice that people care about what I have to say. But I would like to do more here, because I think doing these kinds of videos gives me a little bit more freedom to rabbit on and do more in-depth stuff. I have got some ideas, but if there's anything you'd like to see, do let me know, send me a message somewhere, comment, all that stuff. But the important thing, and I know every YouTuber in the world says this, is that you like, you comment, and you subscribe, because the more you do that, and I have no idea how algorithms work, but I think the more you do that, the more other people will see this. And that makes it easier, doesn't it? So thank you very much for watching. I'll stop plugging my own channel now and let you get on with your lives, and I will catch you in the next video.